Okay, let's unpack this financial freedom. It's a phrase we hear all the time, right? Paints this picture of, well, limitless possibility. But what does it really mean, to be financially free? Is it just about having like a massive pile of money, or is there something maybe deeper?
That's exactly the question we dove into with the sources for this deep dive. And the insight that really comes through is that financial freedom, it isn't just a number in your bank account. It's more a state of being defined by having control.
Control?
Yeah, the ability to make choices in your life because you want to, based on passion, purpose, not because you're sort of forced into it by debt or just necessity.
Control. I like that framing. It's really about agency, isn't it? Having that choice.
Absolutely. And tied right into that is flexibility.
Yeah.
It's the freedom to pivot, to pursue unexpected opportunities. Maybe changing careers, deciding to travel somewhere spontaneously, or even dedicating resources to causes you care about. Philanthropy. We saw that example, remember? Someone being able to travel for those international art workshops just because their basic finances were solid.
Yeah, that foundation was there. And then there's the peace of mind aspect, the security.
So
Yeah.
security. Knowing you've got a safety net for when life throws curveballs like medical emergencies, maybe losing a job, without that instant panic about how you'll cover it, without immediately reaching for debt.
Right. That really resonates.
It does. And think about Jane from the sources. Her story really paints this picture. She felt completely crushed by student debt, like her dream of living in Europe, just impossible.
Yeah.
But by focusing on specific, achievable money goals, like paying off that debt, deliberately saving for the move, starting to invest a bit, she didn't just wish for it. She actually built a tangible roadmap.
A roadmap. That's perfect.
And she got there in just 2 years.
That's incredible. And that idea of a roadmap, that really brings us to the heart of this deep dive, doesn't it? We pulled together these sources precisely because they focus on this core idea.
Yeah.
Setting strategic money goals.
Yeah.
Using them as that essential map to actually achieve that freedom, that control you mentioned.
Yeah, our mission today is basically to walk you through these sources. We want to pull out the most valuable nuggets, the key insights, and really show you how setting clear, intentional goals is maybe the most powerful first step you can take to build your financial roadmap. Think of this as maybe a shortcut, getting that core understanding of how to make your money actually work towards the life you really want.
Okay, so we have this picture of financial freedom, this mix of control, flexibility, security. Why is setting these specific, clear goals the absolute crucial first step? It sounds simple, but I guess there's more under the surface.
There really is. The sources argue pretty strongly that goals provide vital structure. First off, they give you focus and direction. Instead of just, I want more money someday, you create a clear destination. I want to save X amount by year Y for purpose Z. So if your goal is buying a house in 5 years, that goal lets you figure out, okay, exactly how much do I need to put aside each month?
It turns that vague wish into something really actionable, like putting coordinates into your GPS instead of just saying drive north.
Exactly. And that clarity, it fuels motivation. Tangible targets are, well, they're incredibly rewarding to hit. Think about hitting milestones on a long run, right? Seeing your emergency fund balance actually grow, or reaching a specific savings number for retirement, that visible progress keeps you going. It feels good.
And you can actually check if you're, on track, making good time.
That's the performance measurement piece. Clear goals give you benchmarks. If you set a goal to boost your savings rate by, say, 10%, you can look at your statements and see, okay, am I doing it? It builds in accountability.
Which then naturally leads to better decision-making, I'd imagine.
It has to, right? When you know hitting a specific investment target in 6 months is really important for your plan, you start looking at discretionary spending a bit differently. That extra dinner out. It suddenly has a direct impact on your progress towards that specific goal. It makes the trade-offs clearer.
Yeah. Okay.
And the sources introduce a really helpful framework right here just to get started making those vague ideas more solid. It's the SMART criteria.
Ah, SMART goals. Heard of those?
Exactly. It helps take something broad like, I want to save money, and refine it into something genuinely actionable, like $5,000 for a down payment on a car within the next 12 months. It just gives the goal shape and structure right from the beginning.
Okay, that makes sense as a starting point. So let's dive deeper into that SMART framework then. It seems pretty fundamental to actually drawing those clear lines on our financial map.
It really is the backbone of effective goal setting, according to everything we looked at. SMART breaks it down, right? 5 key parts. First, specific. Your goal needs to be super clear. Not just save money, but like we said, save $10,000 for a house down payment. What exactly are you aiming for?
Got it. Specific. What's next?
Measurable. How will you track progress? If it's $10,000 in 12 months, the measure is pretty simple. You need to save about $833 each month. You have to be able to quantify it somehow.
Okay. Measurable, then A.
Attainable. This one's about realism. Is this goal actually achievable for you, given where you are right now? If you're saving maybe $200 a month currently, deciding to jump to $2,000 tomorrow, that might just lead to frustration.
Setting yourself up to fail, almost.
Kind of. Maybe aiming for $300 first is more attainable, builds momentum, then relevant. Does this goal actually matter to you? Does it align with what you want your financial freedom to look like eventually? So if your big vision involves traveling the world, then saving for a specific trip is definitely a relevant goal.
Makes sense. It has to connect to the bigger picture. And
Time-bound. Every goal needs a deadline, a target date. Save $10,000 for a home within 2 years. That gives it that essential urgency and structure. It's not just someday.
that structure really does make a huge difference. It takes the vagueness out. We saw that example of Michael using this framework to build his emergency fund. He made it specific. Save $5,000, measurable, over the next year, saving about $420 a month. It was attainable for him, relevant to his need for security, and time-bound with that one-year deadline. It just clicks.
It provides that clarity and motivation. And once you start framing goals this way, it naturally brings up another really important distinction the sources highlight: the difference between long-term and short-term goals.
Sure.
Both are absolute vital parts of the roadmap, but they serve different purposes, have different timelines.
Short-term goals feel more like the immediate steps, right? The things right in front of you. Maybe the quick wins.
Yeah, exactly. They're usually achievable within a year, sometimes less, and they act as stepping stones on that bigger journey. Things like building that initial $1,000 emergency fund, maybe saving for a specific gadget or a vacation, paying off a small nagging credit card balance. These give you those quick wins, that immediate reward, like finally buying that laptop you saved up for. And that feeling, it reinforces the good habits, keeps the momentum going.
Yeah, you feel like you're actually getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And long-term goals are more like the horizon, the big picture.
Right. These are the multi-year objectives. They require consistent, sustained effort over time. Saving for retirement, obviously, paying off a mortgage, building a college fund for kids. And because these can feel pretty daunting, the key is breaking them down into smaller, more manageable milestones, like setting an annual savings target, or maybe this year's goal is just researching investment options. It makes the big vision feel less overwhelming.
Sarah's example from the sources really laid this out clearly, didn't it? She looked at all her financial aims and sort of sorted them. A $3,000 emergency fund in 10 months, paying off a $1,200 credit card in 6 months. Those were clearly her short-term, right-now goals. But then her long-term vision included things like $50,000 for retirement in 15 years and $150,000 for a college fund in 10 years.
Yeah, and categorizing like that, it brings tremendous clarity. It helps you balance, celebrating those quick wins while still keeping your eye on a long-term prize.
It totally makes sense to break it down like that, apply that SMART structure. But then how do you make sure this roadmap isn't just some generic template? How do you ensure these goals feel truly yours, connected to what really matters to you personally?
Now that's maybe the most crucial step, aligning your financial goals with your personal values and your desired lifestyle. This is what adds the purpose, the meaning to the whole journey. The sources really emphasize this. It's about making sure your map is actually leading you to a life you genuinely want to live, not just some arbitrary financial target.
Okay, so how do the sources suggest we actually figure out those personal values? What kind of tools or questions do they offer?
They guide you through some pretty insightful, reflective questions, asking yourself things like, what truly brings you joy? Is it experiences like travel, continuous learning, education, contributing to your community? Think about Emily in the sources. Her joy came from experiences, right? And that directly led her to prioritize saving for travel over maybe buying more expensive things.
Okay, so what brings you joy? What other kinds of questions help uncover these values?
Well, what do you naturally prioritize in life? Is it security for your family? Is it radical personal freedom, career growth, creative expression? If security is really paramount for you, then building a substantial emergency fund becomes a really clear and vital goal. It directly reflects that core value.
Makes sense.
Also, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave? Thinking about that can influence decisions about, say, savings for future generations or maybe charitable giving. And even understanding your financial fears, like a deep fear of poverty, that can highlight the underlying value you place on security and maybe building wealth, not just earning an income.
So identifying those core values is kind of the foundation.
hmm
Then the next step is translating them into concrete goals that actually build towards the lifestyle you want.
Exactly. You start by visualizing what does your ideal life look like in, say, 5 or 10 years? Where are you living? What kinds of activities fill your days? What does your routine feel like? We saw Dunes doing this in one of the examples. He envisioned himself living in a vibrant city with easy access to both culture and nature.
And that specific vision directly shaped his financial goals.
Precisely. His vision led him to set tangible goals like, okay, save $15,000 for moving expenses within 2 years, and also allocate a consistent $500 a month specifically for cultural activities and outdoor adventures. See how it connects?
Yeah, it becomes really practical.
And this is where you start integrating your values into everyday financial decisions. Asking yourself, does this purchase, this spending choice, truly align with what brings me fulfillment? Or is it just a fleeting desire?
So the budget itself becomes almost like a statement of your values.
Exactly. You build a balanced budget where your spending is prioritized based on those values and goals. If connecting with family across the country is a core value, then budgeting for those plane tickets becomes essential, not just discretionary. And importantly, the sources remind us to stay flexible. Life changes, right? Values can evolve, so your goals and your budget need to be adaptable. Maybe you reallocate funds as new priorities emerge.
Sarah's second example really hammered this home too. Her values around community involvement and continuous learning, they translated directly into financial goals. Things like setting up an annual fund for local charities and specifically allocating money for courses or school development.
Yeah, it shows how aligning your money with your deepest principles isn't just about hitting numbers on a spreadsheet. It's really about crafting a more purposeful and ultimately more fulfilling life.
It adds that whole layer of why to the financial journey.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we get the what financial freedom, the why, the benefits, the framework, smart goals, timelines, and how to make it personal aligning with values. Now, for the really practical how, putting this roadmap into action day to day, the sources seem to really focus on budgeting, tracking, and investing as the key tools here.
Yeah, these are basically your navigation instruments and maybe the engine for the journey. Budgeting is the blueprint, right? It shows how your money should flow, and tracking is your compass. It shows you where your money actually went.
So how do the sources recommend building an effective strategy around those, starting with budgeting?
Right. First step, clearly define your income. All sources, salary, bonuses, side gigs, everything. Then categorize your expenses, usually into fixed things like rent, mortgage, utilities, loan payments, stuff that's pretty stable each month, and variable groceries, entertainment, dining out, gas, things that fluctuate.
Okay, fixed and variable. Then what?
Based on your income and those expense categories, you set realistic spending limits for each area. The sources had that good example with Sarah's budget breakdown, remember. Like if her income is $4,000, maybe she allocates $2,200 for fixed, $1,000 for variable, $800 towards her savings goals, and maybe $500 for just discretionary fun money. It provides a clear structure.
Got it. But setting limits is one thing. Sticking to them is another. That's where tracking comes in.
Yeah.
Exactly, and this is crucial. You need to log where every dollar goes, whether you use an app like Mint or YMB, a spreadsheet, or even just a simple notebook. Doesn't matter how, just that you do it. This is how you actually see your spending patterns, where the leaks are, maybe. And don't forget the regular review. Check in monthly at least. See where you might be over or underspending, and then adjust your limits for the next month if needed.
Ben's story really highlighted the power of that tracking, didn't it? He felt like money was just vanishing. But once he started budgeting and actually tracking his spending, he quickly saw, whoa, he was spending a surprising amount on takeout food.
Right, and by identifying that specific pattern, he could make a conscious adjustment plan, meals, cook more at home, and suddenly, boom, he had extra funds he could redirect straight towards his travel savings goal. It brings real accountability.
It really does. Okay, so budgeting and tracking help manage the money you have now. But investing, that's the tool for growth, right? For reaching financial freedom faster.
Exactly. Investing is the catalyst. It's what helps you grow your wealth over time, making your money work for you. It's pretty essential for achieving those bigger, long-term financial freedom goals.
So how do the sources suggest we approach investing? Especially if you're maybe just starting out.
Well, first, you need to establish your investment strategy. And that's largely determined by two key things. Your time horizon, how long until you actually need this money. Short-term goals, like saving for a car in 2 years. usually means sticking to safer, lower risk options. Long-term goals, like retirement decades away, you can generally afford to take on more risk for potentially higher returns.
Okay, time horizon. And the other thing.
Your risk tolerance. How comfortable are you personally with the market going up and down? Can you sleep at night if your investments drop temporarily? Understanding this helps choose the right mix of investments for you.
And speaking of mix,
Mhm.
diversify,
Mm.
right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely crucial. Diversify your portfolio. Mix different types of assets to spread out the risk. Things like stocks, which have higher potential risk, but also a higher potential return. Bonds, generally safer, lower returns. And maybe real estate, which can offer appreciation and income.
And the sources definitely emphasized retirement accounts.
Oh, massively. You really need to utilize tax-advantaged accounts, like workplace 401k, especially if there's an employer match that's literally free money, or individual retirement accounts, IRAs. The tax benefits over the long run are huge.
And make it automatic if you can.
Yes, automate, automate, automate. Set up automatic contributions from your paycheck or bank account directly into your savings and investment accounts. It is the single most effective way to build wealth consistently without having to think about it constantly. Takes the emotion out of it too.
That makes sense.
And finally, never stop learning. The sources really stress continuous education. The more you learn about investing, reading books, listening to podcasts like this one, maybe taking a course, the more confident and informed your decisions will become over time.
Jessica's example really made investing feel less scary, I thought. She started small, right? Just a consistent monthly investment into a simple index fund. And seeing that gradual but really significant growth over the years, thanks to compounding interest and just sticking with those regular contributions, it showed that you don't need to be a millionaire to start. You just need to start.
Exactly. Consistency and understanding the basic principles are far more important than having a huge amount to invest right away.
Okay, so we've mapped out the journey, we've set our destination goals using SMART, built the framework, personalized it with our values, and we started using the practical tools, budgeting, tracking, investing. But let's be real. The road isn't always going to be smooth pavement, is it? There will be bumps, detours, unexpected roadblocks. How do the sources advise navigating those setbacks?
Yeah, setbacks are pretty much inevitable on a long journey like this. It's really how you respond that counts. The sources offer some solid strategies for managing these challenges. First, just acknowledge the emotions that come with it. Frustration, disappointment, maybe fear. It's okay to feel those things. Validating them, like Rachel did when she unexpectedly lost her job, is the first step to processing them constructively instead of just reacting.
Right, don't just try to ignore it or push it down.
Exactly. Then try to assess the situation as objectively as possible. Analyze why the setback happened, if you can. Was it something within your control or outside factors? Rachel realized her job loss was part of a wider industry trend, not a reflection on her abilities. That helped her focus forward, not inward. And often, you'll need to review and adjust your budget, at least temporarily. Unexpected medical bills, for instance, might mean cutting back on discretionary spending for a while. This is where having a flexible budget really helps.
And reaching out for support seems really important too.
Oh, absolutely. Don't try to go it alone. Lean on your support system, family, friends, maybe a financial advisor. Rachel reached out and got not just practical advice, but also crucial emotional support. And finally, try to learn from it and move forward. View setbacks not as failures, but as lessons. Did an investment lose value? Okay, maybe analyze what happened in the market, see if it changes your future strategy. It builds resilience for the next time.
That's really encouraging. Knowing that a setback isn't the end of the road, just maybe a detour.
Not at all. And kind of counterbalancing those inevitable challenges is the importance the sources place on celebrating the wins along the way. Recognizing and actually celebrating milestones, this is absolutely essential fuel for keeping your motivation high on what can be a long journey.
Okay, celebrating milestones. How do the sources suggest we do that effectively so it actually boosts motivation?
Well, first, establish clear, measurable milestones in advance. What constitutes a win worth celebrating? It could be saving your first $1,000 or $5,000, paying off a specific nagging debt, fully funding your emergency account, hitting a certain investment target. Define them. Then create some kind of reward system that's linked to hitting these milestones. And it doesn't have to be expensive or extravagant. The key is that the reward resonates personally with you. Rachel planning that weekend getaway after hitting her emergency fund goal. That's a perfect example. It was meaningful to her.
Taking time to reflect on how far you've come also seems really powerful.
It really is. The sources suggest using something like a financial journal to document your achievements, big and small. Looking back builds gratitude for your progress. Especially when you remember past struggles, it really amplifies your appreciation for where you are now.
Yeah, I can see that.
And share your achievements, but share them with supportive people who will genuinely cheer you on. Rachel found that sharing her budgeting success actually inspired some of her friends. Using a vision board can also help keep your end goals visible, track your progress visually, and maybe most importantly, try to embrace the journey itself. Remember, it's a process. Each milestone is a fantastic step, but finding joy and satisfaction in the process of building that better financial future is key.
Right. It's not just about gritting your teeth until you reach the finish line. It's about the quality of the travel along the way.
Absolutely. And that mindset leads directly into the final key area the sources emphasize, the necessity of ongoing review and adjustment for continued success, this financial roadmap. It's not a static set it and forget it kind of thing.
Okay, so how often should we be pulling over, metaphorically speaking, and checking the map? And what should we be looking for?
The sources suggest setting regular review intervals that work for you. Maybe it's monthly for your budget, quarterly for broader goals, and annually for the big picture. Rachel, in the example, reviewed quarterly. When you do review, take stock. Gather all your relevant financial statements, bank accounts, investments, credit reports. Apps and spreadsheets can make this data gathering easier, of course. Then, measure your progress directly against your goals. Are you on track with those savings targets? Ben checking if you consistently hit his $500 monthly travel savings goal is a perfect example of that check-in.
And looking for areas where you might be, maybe, veering off course.
Exactly. Try to spot patterns that might be causing setbacks. Are you consistently overspending in certain categories? Why? Then engage in some reflection. What significant changes have happened in your life since the last review? Did you get a new job, a salary change? Have unexpected major expenses popped up? Rachel's salary increase, for instance, was a prompt for her to adjust her savings goals upwards. Her capacity had changed. And documenting your findings, keeping a log or journal of insights and accomplishments, helps track progress over time.
And then, based on that review, being willing to actually modify your goals as life inevitably changes.
Flexibility is absolutely key here. Reevaluate your goals periodically based on these assessments. Sarah, seeing her improved cash flow after a raise, might decide, okay, I can raise my retirement contribution percentage now. Trying to stick rigidly to goals set years ago when your life is totally different, that just leads to frustration.
Yeah, life happens.
It does. Be open to modifying goals. As things change, a new family member arrives, you suddenly need a new roof on the house, you decide buying a home is now a priority. Prioritize needs in tough times, maybe unexpected medical expenses, mean you have to pause the travel savings goal temporarily to rebuild your emergency fund. That's okay. That's smart.
And if your goals involve other people, like family, communication is vital, right?
Definitely. If changes affect your family or partner, discuss them openly. Ben deciding to delay a big family vacation to save faster for a house down payment. That requires a conversation and getting buy-in. And reassess your priorities regularly. As your life evolves, what you value might shift slightly. Maybe that big travel goal becomes less important than renovating your home to better suit your family's needs now. And importantly, try to celebrate these adjustments too. Recognizing that modifying a goal isn't failure, its smart, adaptable navigation helps maintain a positive attitude.
That whole iterative process, the checking, reflecting, adjusting, it makes so much sense for a long-term journey like building financial freedom. It's not static.
Not at all. It's what ensures your plan remains relevant, sustainable, and truly aligned with your evolving life and values over the long haul.
Wow. Okay, so we've really covered the whole landscape presented in these sources, haven't we? From understanding financial freedom, not just as wealth, but as that mix of control, flexibility, security, seeing why setting clear goals is that critical first step on the roadmap, building that strategic, smart framework, adding timelines, making sure the map is truly yours by aligning goals with personal values and your desired lifestyle, then getting practical with tools like budgeting, tracking, and investing. And finally, learning how to navigate the bumps and celebrate the wins, dealing with setbacks, marking milestones, and crucially, continuously reviewing and adjusting your course along the way.
Yeah, the core message that really comes through is that strategic money goals provide more than just a plan. They provide that actionable roadmap to achieving the financial freedom you define and building a life that feels genuinely aligned with what matters most to you.
It really is a powerful perspective shift, isn't it? So here's something to think about. If achieving financial freedom really isn't just about hitting some specific number in an account, but it's much more about aligning your resources, your time, your energy, your money with your deepest values and purpose. What non-financial return could your financial goals unlock in your life? What kind of life are you truly trying to build?